Afternoon, dear friends. My name is Pavel Koktyshev, and I'm CEO and co-founder at the Entrepreneurial, and also CEO and founder at Institute for Development and Economic Affairs. It's an independent think tank, free market think tank. Maybe a few words about our organization. We did the research itself, which called the Entrepreneurial ecosystem in Kazakhstan and Central Asia. A few remarks. The Central Asia means only Kyrgyzstan for now, but we're going to continue this project this year and just rolling basis every year. Our mission is grow the next generation of outstanding entrepreneurs. Not only for the prosperity of the local society, but the general, the humanity. We're also looking to expand our network, not only for Kazakhstan, for Central Asia, South Caucasus, and South Asia, including India, Iran, Afghanistan. We work with the startups, and our product by the end of this acceleration program, it's the new entrepreneurs, and it's a great new businesses. We founded in 2011. Back that time, we hosted our first global entrepreneurship week event, and it was more or less kind of mass market education course about entrepreneurship. Now we are focusing for the small group of the young people, promising startups. You can imagine that not every entrepreneur could be outstanding. That's one point. On another hand, we have a think tank, which try to develop the kind of policy base for our activities. It means that we cannot change generation at all, without influencing or working with the government to do some policy changes, policy solutions and reforms. By our approach, we have trainings, mentoring, and access to finance. We invest in our own funds to startups. It's not big. So far we did 7 investments since last September, and approximately 15 to 50,000 US dollars. Expecting some exits next few years. This is on this side, by these green circles, we have the challenges that we face. We need a stronger community. It means not only the entrepreneurs themselves, but also their staff, their families. Job creation. By official numbers, you know that in Kazakhstan it's about 5.3 or a little bit more, depending on the region, the youth unemployment rate. When we're talking about official statistics, I don't believe it, and let's start with that point. But even if we have low unemployment rate, we start taking into account the underemployment option, because there is a lot of people, young people with high-level skills, with a higher education, but who work for the low-skill job. It's mean underemployment in this sense. By these projects, it was a foresight and the research projects we started it in March 2014, and we did our last report presentation last November. The goals was just to discuss the barriers but it was not biggest part of our discussions and foresight activities. More important was to find a mechanism and solution and to see a vision. Usually when we have round tables, and especially if it's a round table with entrepreneurs, it's a whole few hours of the complaining. Oh, the government is doing wrong, the market is so small, the competition is so high, and whatever, and any reasonable just ideas just not to do something great for their job. Our point was just to build a vision, just to ask the experts, entrepreneurs, the government officials, just to make a picture of the 2050. Then we get the few obstacles people not see so long distance. That's why we made some changes in our program, and we did it for 2020. And all next outcomes, it comes from this 2020 vision. We based on World Economic Forum research and on startup and entrepreneurial ecosystem. We understand that there is no single reason why in this entrepreneurship and capitalism in this country thriving, and on another country is not so developed. Also, I shared last time the quote from one research which made some correlations between how much, or the density and the quality of the coffee shops in the city, and how they are important for entrepreneurship, for thriving the startups, ideation, and all these innovation activities. That's why it brings us to idea that there is no single reason or single challenge. If we are asking the entrepreneurs, and we did more than 2,000 interviews, not for this specific research, but for our daily activities, we do consulting for startups, and when you're asking about what's top 3 questions that we have, what's most challenging for you in this entrepreneurial and a business journey, and it's kind of joke, the finance. They think that there is only finance issue in this regards, but we can see here that there is a human capital, there is a funding and finance, but it's only small brick. Accessible markets and access to the markets, not only local markets but going international, and a trade international. The cultural base, which includes mentorships, advisory, support system. We have some non-financial activities from, for example, Damu Entrepreneurship Development Fund, and it includes only the very short course, basic 101 entrepreneurship course, and some consultancy activity, but we identified that mentorship and the mentoring culture was not so developed, and we dedicated one special discussion and one special foresight session for mentorships. And today we launched, a few months ago, we launched mentorship program jointly with National Chamber of Entrepreneurs, the Damu Foundation, and many other partners. It's one of the outcomes of this project. We didn't I mean, sort out all these activities just to make research and put them on the table. We did it for some immediate and maybe sometimes not very immediate policy activities that we can do. We didn't pick up so much discussions with regards to regulatory frameworks and infrastructure. It deals a lot with policy and with the very complicated and complex system. We partnered with National Chambers of Entrepreneurs, and they do a quite good job in this field. Only for that means we didn't dig too much on this part. Education and training, how we can update and maybe improve the educational system at large, not only specific university, but generally speaking. I was surprised that not only the World Economic Forum methodology, but also OECD and many others, they pay so much attention to universities. And there is a very important, the universities became a very important actors. Of course, if we are taking into account that it's based usually on US experience and European, sometimes Asian, we understand that this is different reality. If Harvard University have $40 billion as an endowment fund, it's zero endowment fund, for example, for many of our universities. Not single university in Kazakhstan have, they don't have endowment funds. Only the Al-Farabi University has some ideas with regards to these activities. But this means the very complex understanding by university what their role in innovation, in the creativity and economy as a general. And a cultural support, it's a very important point. We understand that having 70 years of the Soviet Union legacy, which stated the entrepreneurship as a scene, as a преступление. This is some relations to another report. We supported this research for Strategia Foundation. They did a content analysis of the Kazakh newspapers and on Kazakh language. And they got the information that only the economic question and entrepreneurship is a number 7 priority for these newspapers. It means they have a lot of materials about history, about language, about many other things, but not much on entrepreneurship. And also the 55% of these materials have a negative picture and a negative image of entrepreneur. Of course, it's easier just to write the article about how this company damaged the local water supplies or whatever. But in order just to build a wealthy ecosystem, we need just to pay attention for the cultural support, how people perceive the entrepreneurs, how they celebrated in the community. There is a small just bullet points about what includes, in this case, for example, human capital. It's not only about experience, entrepreneurial experience, it's also about technical skills. It's about how we can attract immigrants. If there is a gap on a local market, labor market, how we can attract these experts, these specialists. And we try to use every this point during our foresight sessions. The session itself consisted of a 2 hours recorded seminar. We gathered the experts from the different backgrounds. If it's, for example, human capital is not only HR specialists who work in a company's in an HR department. It was a very diverse group of the students, the people from the banks, the investors, entrepreneurs, the people from the corporate world. And we gave them 5 questions. We broke up them on small groups. And the only one question was regards to the challenges and the problems that they have, that we have. But all other questions was targeting the draw this picture, how it should looks like. It's kind of roadmap. And in fact, by the end of this seminar, they did a 1 hour discussion within a small groups, then a presentation, then we did a complex generalization of the proposals, and then by the end of this seminar we had a kind of roadmap that we should improve. It's not a qualitative, it's not a quantitative research, it's a qualitative research. That's why it's not too much figures further in this presentation. Here is some more details. And here is some outcomes. I already mentioned this. Here I broke up it on 3 bigger groups. Like this refers to the talents. Not so high unemployment, I already mentioned it. But underemployment, and we have another things like a self-employed people. It's it's a temporary works. People are not registered as unemployed and a person in Akimat and this social service, but they don't have good quality workplace, and it high instability kind of factor. Here also some other perspective from the employer, that the young people are every time expecting more than, for example, in terms of salary, in terms of expertise and experience. And we again asking the entrepreneurs, we realizing this point that there is this system is imbalanced. We have universities which every time complaining that we don't have high skilled and employees, and universities are not getting the right, signal from the market. But on the other hand, we have employers also not satisfied with that situation, but not taking any single activity to work in a close collaboration with the universities and produce a program, changes in a syllabus and a curricula of the universities, or do some initiatives like we observed in Russia. They have a mentorship program not only for, within a small or a big company, but also between universities and the company. The companies provide the fully, paid internship, and this is not kind of accidental internship where a young guy or girl comes to the company and they don't know what to do, and they do some copying and typing activities, but not serious experience. They don't get serious experience. It means the room for our companies to develop with universities. The international programs such as Bolashak program, they kind of have a different perspective. We have different perspective on this program. On the one hand, we have qualified and highly educated young people from the world-renowned universities, but their ability and maybe readiness to come back and serve in the local companies are very low. We realize that most of them, if they would be granted with this opportunity to stay, for example, in UK, US, they will stay. And entrepreneurial activities is also very low. I mentioned that we had Kyrgyzstan as part of this research, and we had a specific case study with American University in Central Asia. We surveyed more than 100 alumni and current students, and we asked them how about their future careers and what their vision. We have realized that there is some interest, and it's a strong interest to come and work in Kazakhstan, and especially in Almaty as being a regional financial center, but also the very vibrant business community that it's attracting the people from the region as well. And in this case, we also propose some migration kind of policy changes for government as well, in order to be more open and friendly to this new, young professional from the neighboring countries. In terms of capital, there is not only the lack of capital itself, but also lack of information. We realized that having the 58 means of financial support from the government to the private companies, the only maybe 4 or 5 of them are very wide known. We have realized that there is a number of the institutions like Damu Foundation or National Agency for Technological Development who are in close ties with business, who really open-minded to some changes. Only for last year we working in a close collaboration with Damu Foundation, we did some changes in their program called Damu Startup. It's a special program which provides the collateral and guarantee for the bank's loans up to 70%, and did some subsidies. They subsidizing the interest rate itself. These programs are really wide known, and but there is some grants opportunities and more programs coming. And small interest from business it also shows that we need to look for some other opportunities and some alternative ways of financing. Starting the program on mentorships, we realized that there is the whole room of opportunity for angel investment. Usually, we know that personal savings in Kazakhstan is more than 4 trillion tenge. And this money in the banks, you are getting only, it's just covering the inflation. But having more opportunity for to invest not only the apartments and investment in real estate, yeah. But also for the startups, there is a market already of the startups, which offer opportunity for the venture capitalists, for angel investors, not only for the banks. Having dedicating only 10% of your savings to the startups, it's a internationally recognized strategy of many investors in the world. In our case, we don't have so much open information about the exits, about the investments in the startups here. We evaluate in this market about at a $20 million per year, at least for last year, as an investment, the angel investment into startups. Usually, we also speaking not only about the capital and the money itself, but also some other capital. There is a really high rental for not only office spaces, but for your workshops, for small production, and having many examples of the good financial program. For example, from the Singapore, they supporting not only, or further Turkey, let's say, they're not only investing in subsidizing the loans, they only also subsidize with the renting, the shopping mall, yeah, abroad. It gives them more opportunities to access the new markets, and there is a big need for local entrepreneurs in this regard. I already mentioned some points about the culture. We have few universities. One of them is Almaty Management University, who declared themselves as an entrepreneurial university. It means that they encourage their students, their staff and professors to start up a business, just to get some real world experience. And but this is a private university and one of the leading business schools in Central Asia. There is a room for many other universities who can be recognized as the innovation hub here, and not only here. We see how much efforts government do for Nazarbayev University, and last year we had the opportunity to work much closer with them, and a high bureaucracy within this university I expected that this experience gave me the hope, but it's not true. I believe that it's only the waste of the money, usually waste of the money. when we put in all our money and all eggs in one basket, in this case it's Nazarbayev University, but if we are spread these resources among other universities and gives opportunity and for private university as well, and give opportunity for competition, it would bring more programs and maybe specific programs for universities and for some results. Few maybe last things about general outcomes. We understand that it's a single-minded perspective of the government in terms of promoting and developing entrepreneurship. It's only giving the money. In the framework of this research, we did some analysis of the money of this government money which goes for the entrepreneurship, and it was about more than 120 billion tenge, which goes to subsidizing the loans, and it goes through the banks and then to the businesses, and only 3 billion which goes to non-financial supports. It means for the consulting, for some coaching as well, through the Kazakhstan and West. It means financing participation of the local producers on affairs abroad, and they pay a portion of this money for taking part in, for example, Frankfurt Messe or whatever, very famous exhibitions. We need, speaking about innovation, we also need to use innovation approach in promoting and supporting entrepreneurship. It's easy in our country to do some, to control everything from the center, from the Astana or from Almaty, if we speak about Damu Foundation, and then copying this one approach to any region of the country. It's wrong because traveling a lot around this country, I realized that we need very tailor-made entrepreneurial programs in every region. One for Kazlorda, another one for Karaganda, and in this case we give an example of Moscow as a best case practice. They had for today 32 programs for non-financial support, which includes the exhibitions, forums, fairs, consulting, mentoring, publishing, and it's a really huge range of the programs. And day by day and maybe year by year, they implementing or financing the new program. It gives more chances just to be flexible during all this global economic turmoil, but by the end of the day, we are more closer to entrepreneurs themselves, to their needs, and to the highly developing the IT market or in the global situation. We realize that Almaty is already kind of hub, the innovation and a startup hub for not only for the Kazakhstan but for the region at large. And we need we drafted the multilateral approach and a collaboration on these projects because it's impossible to build out of the Almaty kind of Silicon Valley, regional Silicon Valley, but if we are getting on board the think tanks, universities, banks, investors, international organizations. The initiative itself could be successful. I'm really glad that I had this opportunity to present these outcomes. We're really looking forward just to continue this foresight project as well, through the expert discussions, but also really welcome to some ideas about qualitative research. We, in a collaboration with Nazarbayev University, we help them bring a global entrepreneurship monitor to Kazakhstan. It's also the big survey and annual research about entrepreneurship. That's all. That's all. Thank you. Any questions?